Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open the meeting with Lanteglos by Ford Parish Council, and a welcome to you all. I would like to offer our thoughts, prayers and sympathies to the people of Belgium and the victims of the latest terrorist attacks. So if you can please agree with me, we'd like to communicate our sympathies to the people of Belgium and the airport staff and victims. Thank you. Right, we open now with the public forum. Members of the public were invited to address the council prior to commencement of the meeting. Anything from any members of the public? Yes, please.
Just to inform councillors that I'm in attendance on item 34, and also to record the Broker Church Council's grateful thanks for the support they've received in this matter over the years.
Thank you. Anybody else, please?
The April meeting will be here or where?
Yes. I'll leave that to the clerk to...
Yeah, it was a mistake on my part, members of the public. The April meeting will be at Polo, and so will the May meeting, and so will the annual meeting in May be at Polo. The next 3 meetings will be at Polo.
What? Just ask you.
Well, you've laid all our thoughts to rest as well at the same time. But next question, please, I think.
Can I, as chairman, raise a problem,
Yeah.
Chairman? Not as chairman, as clerk. State of the roads. I travelled to Poland the other day, and the potholes at the bottom of the pump there and up at Esser. You could wreck your vehicles in those things, and we've written to them on a number of occasions. I don't know what we can do with this.
You can't avoid one of them in one, can you? Because it's so narrow. One tire has to go into it.
That's it. If you go over the other side, you can catch one wheel.
Exactly.
We've been complaining about the state of Essex since before Christmas.
But they did tarmac a back road down there, didn't they? First of all,
Yeah.
They
yeah,
did
that
do
was the first
pump.
they got down tarmac a back road.
Maybe Glory.
Yeah.
I understand that.
They
I thought they'd have patched that and then...
Andrew,
Sorry.
go through the chair, please. Thank you.
I just thought, if you have a look down the back road, they tarmac that completely, haven't they?
You mean
Yes.
But I would have thought they would have, because, or I wouldn't imagine a lot of people would have used that. I would have thought they would have patched that and done a proper repair then where people were using
Well,
it.
what happens with the contracts on the roads these days from Cormac is a contract is written, sent out to the various contractors, and that is all they're specified to do. They're not allowed to diversify or repair anything else.
But
You're right,
honestly,
John.
all you need is some of that cold
Yeah, but-
instant tarmac.
I spoke to a Cormac bloke who was working on that, and I said, why don't you go around the corner and fill that bloody great pothole? And he said, we're not allowed to.
Sony Council of Hannaford did the same happened on the Friday. It's all to do with county. This is why the clerk's mentioned it now. Essa, there's a big pothole underneath the water. The drains, we've been on about 3 months for the drains.
But
Well,
Mrs. Hanford said that you could sue the county if you had a bad tire from a pothole.
Well,
As far as that flood is concerned, I think another letter to them saying they were quick enough to put up a flood sign, and it's been there,
Yeah.
what, 3 months, and it'll take one man and a shovel 10 minutes to sort that out.
Yeah.
And it's a disgrace. You know, fine, in a car you can splash your way through it, but if you want to walk out to church, how do you get out to church without getting your feet wet?
unfortunately, now that flood there is worsened because of the fact you drive a car through there like myself did this morning, and there's a big pothole on the Shannon End where you go straight into it. Yes,
I was just going to say that all we can do is keep the pressure up.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
change the tone of the letters of being.
Well, what about your county councillor?
she's already chased them up.
Yeah, well then she's
She's copied into all of our
So
correspondence.
you need to chase her and Cornwall Council into highways.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
Yeah, all right.
Right,
That's
okay.
okay.
We'll bring it up at the next item, next meeting.
Well, how come they done all the first ball coming all the way back down there, all right?
Because they were contracted.
Yeah, I know, but at the end of the day, hardly anybody uses that.
Well,
Now, how can County or Cormac turn around and justify tarmacking all that road when it's hardly used, when there's major potholes on the roads where everybody's using it?
What
You
it
have to
is,
sort
Yeah,
out
it
the
costs
council, yeah,
effective, is it?
Fursbow Hill was in a bad state, and a contract was obviously written by County Council for the specified contractors to repair that stretch of road, and that stretch of road only, nothing else.
Yeah, they didn't repair it, they completely serviced it.
The only problem is, that I totally understand where you're coming from, but in case there was lorries using our road, and they've had, to be fair, someone's been there with a spray can, so someone must be coming to mend them as well. But they were there with lorries, they even come out, the bloke on the, I don't know what we call it, the tarmacking machine, he sat outside at one place for 20 minutes talking to me about what I would do. So I must get on, the lorry's waiting for me up at the other end. I said, on the way up, can you fill in that pothole? And he did say to me, coming more, my job's worth doing that, mate. I said, we're just driving past it with tarmacking it. Just drive a bit out.
They were driving over the 3 down here by the melon for days.
Yeah.
Is that still bad then?
It's done it.
Right, let's
You
move
can
on.
only do
We can only write it down to keep that pressure. Right, move on. Any more questions, please? Anybody, anything more from public forum? No, right. Let's move on. Any reports from the please?
No.
Report from Councillor Hannaford?
Apologies from Councillor Antor, and she will be forwarding her report, but it's not arrived before tonight's meeting.
Members' declarations. Pecuniary and registrable interests. Declaration of interest. Members must declare an interest which has been declared on the register of financial interest form relevant to the agenda. Non-registrable interest. Members must declare a non-pecuniary interest at the start of the meeting or whenever it becomes apparent. Declaration of gifts. Members are reminded they must declare any gift or hospitality with a value in excess of £50. Dispensations. Members to consider any written requests for dispensations. I've got 2 to declare. One, I'm on the Churchyard Guild, which will be an interest pecuniary because money's involved, and also to ask for a dispensation, being a member of the Guild, and I've registered it for the club.
We've got a form, the members accept that dispensation.
I propose we do, sorry, while I've got my hand up.
Second it. Show of hands, please. Love to. Environmental matters. Members to receive a report from the chairman of the outcome of the meeting with Councillor Hannaford and Craig Taylor regarding the updating of parking signs in Paul Road. We got that letter there? Which one?
No, we haven't got an email yet. I haven't email.
Isn't there? There's one. Right, I'll have to dig that one. What happened was Councillor Hannaford and Craig Taylor, we met with Councillor Hannaford in Paul Road Friday afternoon. We walked round, we looked at all the signage, and the signage, their initial cost was going to be £4,500 to replace, which the parish council is going to have to bear. The signs are illegal due to weathering of them and outdated.
When were they outdated, John?
There's various signs we'd have to go back to Craig Taylor. If you wish to challenge them for car parking refunding, then you've got to speak to Mr. Taylor.
Could you clarify, please, is it Cornwall Council or the Parish Council?
The parish council will have to pay for new signage if they want the areas to be have enforcement officers. And the only way that it can be made cheaper is people with property with walls, we affix the signs to the walls. And that reduces the sum down to, I believe, 3,200. Otherwise, enforcement of parking in certain areas of Polruan will not be enforced by the relevant authorities.
occurs to me that that's complete nonsense with regards to it'll be the parish council to pay for it. Old Perrow, I've had the same issue where the signs are weathered, thrown in behind ivy on the walls, blah blah blah. Since Cornwall Council took over, traffic warden barely exists, so people have been parking. Well, now they're going back through Old Perrow and re-establishing the original parking orders, and highways are paying for the lot.
Have you proof?
I had proof. If Edwina was here, I would have been quizzing her on that tonight, because I can tell you categorically highways are paying for Pole Perrows and for restricted zones to be reinforced.
Yeah, but Chairman, he did say that they had priority areas that they were dealing with, and Paul Ruin wasn't classed as a priority area.
Well, the thing is, I think they may as well make it a priority, because the amount of it might only be a handful of tickets that are handed out each year, but they're going to probably get a lot of retrospective.
Yeah, but we were told quite clearly, we know in certain terms, that Paul Parrow and Lou would lose something up like the £30,000 in signage replacement. And Paul Parrow's quite high in replacement. So there's a difference.
I can
There's
assure
a
you
difference
that
in thought here.
I can assure you though that at the public meeting, which I think was last week, because I was given the update, and the community council asked the question at that meeting, who's footing the bill, and the Cornwall Council, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Said highways is footing the bill.
But if you can
I
get
will
get us the evidence.
get you the evidence if you want it. But
how does that leave Paul Ruin?
Well, me personally, I would choose spend that money on paying a contractor to mend a hole in the floor, a hole in the road, and put a sign up on the wall. Because we haven't got that kind of money. Okay, I understand there's some issues in Poland, but at the end of the day, surely we're better off spending £4,500 on paying a contractor to mend some potholes which are dangerous, and cause more damage and all that, cause an accident, than someone parking outside somewhere else.
Correct.
That's my own personal opinion.
Yes.
well, given the fact then that the signs are out of date, weathered and not fit for purpose, surely we could make the fuss of Cornwall Council and say, well look, we're not going to pay to have them replaced, but in their current state they're illegal, so please come and remove them.
Is it against the law to have an illegal sign up? Because if they're saying they're illegal, surely they're breaking the law.
We'd have to find that out with the road authorities, the highway authorities.
I think that's the way to go.
If you can come back with definitive evidence, they are footing the bill for the signage in Paul Parrow.
I will make a phone call when I get home to see if I can get it.
You know, it needs to be in black and white.
Yes.
And they will argue, John, it's more then than there is in Poland.
Well, we could send Mr. John to the next meeting with a video camera.
You won't miss anything, that's for sure.
The majority of the signs are faded more than anything, weren't they? That was his reason for replacing them.
Replacing, but because they're faded, it's classed them as you can't enforce the faded
It's the exact
signs.
same in Paul Parrow. The signs are faded, there's ivy grown over. And
Just a really stupid question.
Yeah, can you refrain from talking, please, Mr. Hill?
Why can't they, when's it been decided they were illegal? As in, were they 10 years ago they were illegal, or, I know you asked that question, but surely is someone driving around the countryside saying, oh, by the way, that sign's illegal, taking it down? Because if it's illegal, it shouldn't be there.
We tried to enforce the car parking over the entrance to Battery Park.
Yeah.
Now, people over Battery Park were blocking vehicle access for ambulance, cars, all kinds of vehicles. The highways authorities came down along with the enforcement manager, and they told us that there's nothing they can do about the parking there because the signs are illegal.
What? How are they illegal?
Well, I've just said there's ivy grown over them, they're faded,
Well,
they're
can't we
weathered,
cut the ivy away?
and they're in the wrong position. This is what we've been told. That's the clerk.
Excuse me, why can't they put sticky signs over the...
This is one of the questions we can ask.
I don't understand why we, instead of talking about 4,000, 2,000 pounds, we don't just cut the ivy away.
Yes, but there's
But
only
there's
one or
other
two
signs
signs
that are
like it. There's signs, when they went round with himself and the clerk on these signs, they place them on poles in the ground. Now the pole's got to be dug in the ground got to be surveyed, and you're on a proper round robin trying to get costings to put a sign up. And the easiest route is to put the sign on a private property, on a wall, which we've got to contact the owners of where to put these signs up.
So what's
Now,
the problem?
the problem is we've got to pay the bill. Now and Councillor Fisher there has found out Polperro and Lou who are on the same instructions that we were.
I can guarantee you Paul Parrott.
Why should we pay the bill then, John?
Yeah, we should.
That's Councillor Fisher's going to find out.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I leave the meeting
We'll
for
find
And as for the sticky signs, what we could do is, like the parish clerk suggested, a firm called, is it Hot Dog?
That's Lost Withiel.
Lost Withiel, do signs at a fraction of the price at Cormac.
You'll
So-
probably, sorry, John, you'll probably have to find that you'll find that the signage has got to be a certain type, it's got to be a certain strength. And the chances of sticking this thing on there probably won't wear with the council, because if you look at all their signs, there's Clayton Bolton makes them, but we went there with the Volunteers years ago. They've got to be made of a certain A, B, C, and D. You can't just
Certain standard.
yeah, and I can't guarantee they won't. I mean, a sticky is a brilliant idea, cheap option, fantastic. But anybody can take it off, and anybody can put a sticker wherever they like. I reckon there'll have to be a certain type.
Certain specification.
But I still go back to the situation that money we could spend on mending potholes rather than signage. In my
Yeah, I
opinion.
think they have a lot of source saying that we have to do this and we have to finance it.
Well, I think it's brass now.
Yeah?
I think sauce is rather too quiet a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you can do that, you can put them all down the clinic as well and everywhere else.
I think there are this
And
restricted.
take this holiday, it's parking out on the road. They
It's
should be
what they're
parking on the
saying.
side of the houses there. They're very dangerous for people parking on the road like they are.
So really, we've got to find out what Paul Power's up to.
You know,
That's
kind of
the
word,
first
it's not
step.
down to signage.
Right?
I
I
think we
Well,
agree
if I suggest then, defer this to the next meeting. One, I will get the definitive Paul Parrott answer.
Yeah.
Two, if the clerk writes and just raises the question about sticky signs, because you never know, Cornwall Council might have a sticky sign that they could put up.
That's right, yeah.
And then we'll go from, I'll send the information, we'll go from there, because if the evidence is Paul Parrott, okay, I'll have those done.
And we contact Paul Power Clark, the clerk Paul Power, to see what his minutes say.
Yes.
You can probably see it on the internet, can't you?
People say that the public meeting was last week, so there must, I will, don't answer Janet, she's the knowledgeable of Paul Parrott.
Right, so,
You could be secretary from it.
seconder please, proposed by Councillor
I'll
Fisher.
second it.
Show of hands that we seek advice or evidence from Paul Power Parish Council. Neighbourhood Plan members to receive an update from Councillor Moore and Councillor Fisher on the progress of the Neighbourhood Plan survey.
A report of this will go into the parish magazine, and there will be other things going on to the website. Questionnaires went to every household in the parish, and there was also an online version. We had collection boxes in the Winklepicker, St Saviour's, St Willow's, St John's, the Old Ferry Inn. They could also hand them in to the clerk or any councillor. All of those boxes were collected, opened and witnessed and verified by the 14th of March. Councillor Fisher and I handled all of these and collated the information. We had 101 responses in all, which I think is about 18%. Online there were 22, 37 in the Winklepicker, 7 from St Saviour's, 6 from St Willow, none in St John's, 10 in the Old Ferry Inn, 10 put with Mr Morley Tubb and 6 with Adrian. There were 10 questions on the questionnaire, 3 possible responses, and if you remember those were agreed at a public meeting, important, not important, and no view. This was well understood by almost all respondents, and over half of the questionnaires, that's 57, took the trouble to amplify these responses by additional comments, which, that's what I was talking about. We can publish those on the website. It's not appropriate to put those into the parish magazine. That isn't what the parish magazine is for. And of course, if people left blank spaces, that was up to them to do. We can't guess what they were going to say. Transport, 98 people, 97% thought that was important. Commercial development, 72. Affordable housing, 84. Protection of the landscape, 98. Renewable energy and biodiversity, 49. Schools, 80. Planning, that's new homes, extensions, community projects, were 85. Open spaces, playgrounds and allotments, 76. Health facilities and wellbeing, and that included a reference to relocating the doctor's surgery, that was 77. Community facilities, that could have included a new hub, that was 57. From the section where people were invited to tell us who they were or a little bit more about themselves, 33 were male, 49 female, 61 were full-time residents and 19 holiday homeowners. 1 was 18, 1 was 19 to 24, 3 were 25 to 44, 30 were 45 to 64 and 43 were over. That does not add up to 101, so that means that some people are not going to tell us that information. And if people wanted to remain anonymous, they could. But from those who have given us their details, we can capture those, we can record them. And anybody who came in online, we've got those details anyway. So there are people who want us to talk back to them. There are strong strands emerging from this. And of course there's a wide range of views, some of them diametrically opposed, that's what you'd expect. Where people live has some influence on what is said. Obviously what's important to the inhabitants of Polruan is less so than to those of us that live out here. Everybody stressed the importance of integrated transport links, including bus and ferry services, because that is vital to the well-being of the whole community. Protection of the landscape is vital because we know, and this came out, that largely unspoilt surroundings in which we live has a high intrinsic worth. That's both to us as residents and to visitors who contribute to the local economy. There were several quite clear responses that said they were opposed to wind turbines, don't want them, don't want to see them. Traffic speed, again, was mentioned through Lanteglos Highway, but we know that a speed limit can't be put in place there because there aren't enough houses to warrant such a scheme. And the other things that were mentioned, and this is particularly to do with Polruan, it's where people, and not everybody said this, what they viewed as inappropriate or out-of-scale planning decisions. People do want their views to be heard, and they want the parish council comments when we are statutory consultees to carry more weight. Parking or a lack of it in Polruan is rightly identified as a problem. We do know that one remedy is to have a parking permit scheme, but that would have to be charged for residents. We know that, we've been told that. It would be about £3,000, I think, so there's a cost implication there. Affordable housing was mentioned from all sections of the community. It's keeping young families in the parish, but people were concerned that those should be for local need. Employment locally is related to this, with several suggestions on how some commercial development could be encouraged. That then has an impact on the future of the school, which people want to see here. Respondents were divided on whether new community facilities should be provided. Many recognise that where these were cited could have unforeseen consequences on Polruan itself. White Cross Village Hall was identified as a facility to be kept unsupported. The continued provision of health facilities was considered to be vital. People don't want to lose those under any circumstances, but not necessarily to be moved from where they are. People living outside Polruan don't necessarily use these facilities, so they don't have quite the same level of interest because they go outside the parish to Plint or Lost Withyard. There were strong responses both from residents and from holiday homeowners who wanted to see the preservation of the community feel for more integration between different groups making up the wider parish, as all of us, the young, the old, the working, retired, permanent residents, second homeowners, businesses, and a recognition that a viable and thriving community depends on all of these. There is now a lot more work to be done on a deeper analysis of that. That then, and the report, will go towards building the evidence base for the neighbourhood plan. And there will be further reports and meetings.
Thanks for thank you for their hard work, mate. You've done a lot of work, obviously.
Yeah, we're good at reading, writing, I can tell you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark.
If I could say a little more about where this is going, the pages of comments, I'm not going to go through those because there's a lot of them, but when you see these on the website, and I hope that Council would agree to that being a way forward for these, they are verbatim. You can do that with them. You can't put the whole questionnaire on, but people wanted to talk to us and they told us things, so we might not agree with what we say, or, it doesn't matter. We ask them to tell us things, they have told us. So I think it's reasonable that those go there. Because I've taken them off the questionnaires, they are of course not attributable. So we are protecting people under the Data Protection Act.
So, we have a proposal in second, we now publish this as a approved council document on our website.
That itself that I've just talked through, that will be in the parish magazine, which should be out.
The more we get out there, the better it's going to be for more people to get involved. I know.
I would think that if we can get it out like that, that does actually tell people, yes, we do need to know what you say, because 101, yes, it's a reasonable first response, but it's not enough on which to base a whole parish plan. We need more. I think we need more representation than that. I mentioned that I think there's a deeper analysis to be done on this. There is a meeting arranged with David Reed, who's on the neighbourhood planning team. That is going to be on the 5th of April, and as many of us can go to that as we wish, but that will have to be at Luxton. Since then, because I was talking to somebody else in that department this afternoon, there is real training and workshops being set up in May, in Bodmin and in Truro. Because there are more and more parishes and town councils becoming involved in this, and I think an awful lot of us are asking the same questions. This is the Bible, or one of them, and anything we put in the plan, or that people decide want to go in the plan, has got to conform with what's on this. This is derived from the Carradon plan, which has been around since 2007, and on the saved plans from all the other original councils, the boroughs. When you read this, you can see what's been lifted out of there. It's now got lines through it, and this is now going forward for examination. So Cornwall at the moment does not have an accepted plan, but it will have because it's going forward for examination. In order to pay for things like professional help in drawing up reports, doing a deeper analysis, even writing the policies, because we will have to have policies as well, we are eligible to apply for grant aid. I've worked on that this afternoon, and it could be for up to £9,000. Foy, if you read their magazine, got 12.5, but they're bigger than we are. This is what the thing looks like, and if I go through this with you, I can do this online after Emma Ball in County Hall has made sure it's okay, And we will get a response back overnight to say, yes, we can go forward and start saying, you know, what our budget will be. The first bits on this are that I have to give the clerk's address and I have to say who we are. And then I've put myself in as the contact, and they want to know we are a parish council. The questions, we don't have a population of over 5,000 people. We have a population of 994, according to the 2011 census. And that is the figure that goes forward. We're not going to seek a neighbourhood development order. We don't have a lot of, shopping streets that might need protected so that they all look the same, which you might in other areas of the country, not here. And we're not producing a business neighbourhood development plan. We'd have to be somewhere like the City of London to do that, so no. We are not seeking to allocate more than 500 homes. That's one of the questions. We're asked to provide evidence of the proposed allocation of housing. This has to be by reference to the housing register for the Liscard and Loo network area. Whatever that's in there, they are told how many they've got supposed to be building year by year. We will have to have a proportion of that, but that's across the whole of the area. So there will be more houses in Loo, there will be more houses in Liscard, inevitably, and the detail of why is in there. It's quite strict on where those houses can go. There's not going to be anything much in the countryside. It's going to be infill or in village envelopes. I've already said the authority, that's Cornwall Council, doesn't have, its plan is not yet adopted. And it's what I also have to explain the amount of housing we're seeking to allocate and the amount specified in the local plan. I can only say what's in there, so that I have to refer to that.
To be just housing thing there, if you can't build any houses to encourage youngsters into the village, especially old roofers, prices are going higher and higher and higher, and you'll never be priced out of that.
Yeah.
I know we haven't got any land to build anything, but they're sort of limited your options. You're not going to encourage anybody.
Yeah, we know that from the meetings. Yeah.
And they say infill only, but Polrune's pretty well infilled by
Yeah,
now.
there are small pockets of land where houses could be built. We are limited, we know that, and that came out of one of the public meetings. didn't it?
The only land left to build really is up the back of Kendal Park.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we can't do anything about it, because that's what it says in the book.
Well, we could tear down 4 houses I'm thinking of.
Right.
They'll fall down shortly.
But I think this is the kind of thing that's going to come out of further work with the residents. It's exactly where we want to see these things, because we've got to have them. You know, there is a housing need, and there is a housing register. Oh yes. Do we, in the terms of the level of deprivation, do you live within an area of high deprivation? No, we don't. On a scale of 1 to 9, we're 5. And it took me quite a long time to find this, but you actually go in on a postcode. So I put mine in, and then it brings it up in the middle of the map of the place, and it's pale yellow, so it's fine. If we were higher deprivation, we get more money, but we're not going to. And what else do we do? Oh, well, we have, do we have a highly transient community? No, we're fairly settled. That figure I gave you of 994 as the population was the same in the previous census. Yes, we know that we have, like the rest of Cornwall, and that comes out in there, a relatively ageing population. That's going to happen, which will also have an effect on the kind of houses that we might need to see built. The other thing that comes out in there is single occupancy. You know, we haven't got enough of that. Nobody has. And our neighbourhood plan is not across 3 or more boroughs. And where do we hear about them? From our councillor. and that's it. So if I can get that off, I then did it with Emma Ball. Is everybody happy with that?
Are you asking for a specific figure, or will they come back with what we're entitled to?
No, talking to Emma Ball today, she said no, just leave it at that. And if she checks it, I know it's okay, because I don't want it turned down at this stage. I want it right first time.
So the whole of what we've just said and agreed to and discussed is that we now agree to publish on the website the results of the preliminary survey. We also take a vote that we agree for you to go forward with the plans you discussed. So can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Show of hands, please. And a vote of thanks to Pat and Adrian for dealing with the paperwork levels.
Cheers.
The designation application, Chairman, that has been advertised in the Cornerstone and the Cornerstone House.
Oh, that's excellent. Because
And it
that's,
should be on
yeah.
our notice board.
Yeah, because until we've done that, there is no question.
Yeah.
I've read it in the
There is,
Cornish
I
Law.
think there is a 6-week consultation period, Pat.
Just as a silly question, that's the population. How many houses have we got in the parish? Do you know?
It's all on there.
Yes, it's
I mean-
around 500 or something. I should have had that. It's in there somewhere. It does actually.
So they are, there's not like more, you know,
We should have, we got
a ratio, that doesn't seem too bad. That means like two, every house has got 2 people in it, really.
It was with the demographics that Edwina said that with the numbers, the breakdown of the population, the
Yeah.
breakdown of jobs, trades.
Yeah.
Is the population include children?
Yes, that's the population. The number of households, according to this, which is March 11, we had 474 altogether in Lanteglos.
Well, that doesn't seem very many.
That's what it says here.
Well,
Yeah. All households, 474.
It gives a list of rented accommodation.
yeah, no, just think that you would think that there was that many involved.
And it says household deprived in 4 dimensions. That could be illness, disability, poverty, or whatever. You've got 3 across the whole parish. And that is the Office for National Statistics.
You'd think it'd be a lot worse than that due to second home. You'd think that there'd be, you know, you'd think, oh wow, well, if you look at the population on average, it's 2, it's now 50-50, isn't it?
And that's a bit of the map, which isn't that brilliant. That's us there.
The red bit.
Red
Exactly.
bit. In the middle of the clay country.
Yeah, band in it.
Now that means they're in category 1 or 2. That is an area of deprivation. We are there. And we know that.
Yeah.
Right, everybody have finished now? Thank you for your attendance.